I need my husband to agree to moving to another city because I have feelings for my brother-in-law. My female 39 husband, male 50, of 11 years, and his sister, female 41, are very close. We meet her and her husband, brother-in-law male 40, all the time. Sunday dinner is always with them at our or their place. Occasionally other family members join us from my or my husband's side of the family, but the constant is us four, and sister-in-law's 3 children. I get along very well with sister-in-law and brother-in-law. We never had issues. I started having feelings for my brother-in-law about 5 years ago. I know people here would call it emotional affair, but it wasn't yet. I kept it very secret and nobody noticed. I love my husband very much and I don't want to ruin our beautiful marriage. We are awesome together and our bond is strong. My feelings for brother-in-law were very confusing at first and I went years without realizing what they were because I love my husband, so how can I love another? When brother-in-law turned 40, they had a big party and I stayed after to clean because my sister-in-law had to take care of the children. So it was me and brother-in-law cleaning. He was still a bit tipsy and he told me that he's been in love with me since I married my husband. I was shocked. He has always been nice to me and complimented me, but I never felt anything more. I tried to ignore him, so he said it again. I told him to go to bed. He tried to argue, but I insisted that he went to bed and let me clean by myself. He probably knows that I love him too because of something he said. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we stopped pretending and just told them? We only live once. How did he know? I cried for weeks afterwards, and when my husband saw that I was sad, he was very concerned and was so nice to me, and it made me cry even more. The guilt is physically painful. I have developed ulcers. This happened last summer, and ever since I've tried to avoid seeing sister-in-law and brother-in-law. With how frequent we met before, there was never one good excuse. Soon my husband was irritated with me, accusing me of not liking his family. Sister-in-law called a few times to wonder. Now she has started saying that I wanted to come between her and her brother because I never liked their closeness. I go to the dinners and ignore brother-in-law altogether, and sister-in-law is mad that it feels like I hate her when I actually love her like a sister. My husband got a new job offer, a city that's 20 hours away. I want him to take it, but it's in a very small town and he is surprised that I, renowned city girl, want to move to a small town. I don't know what to do. I want my husband to take this job, but I don't know how to convince him. Brother-in-law texted me begging not to do it and he promised not to bother me again, but just not to move away. That doesn't sit well with me. As long as it was one-sided it felt less serious, but now it feels like an emotional affair, and I don't want to be in it. What can I do? Now my sister-in-law and brother-in-law are separating. My husband is hesitant about taking the new job in the new city. Hi, I was here a week ago. I honestly didn't expect to be so judged and hated. I want to stress the point that I have never once contemplated acting on my feelings toward my brother-in-law, not even when he confessed that he had feelings for me. On the contrary, when he told me that he was in love with me, I was more adamant to do everything in my power to forget him. I have never spoken or looked his way since that confession, and I'm not planning to ever speak to him again either. After my post, I had a talk again to my husband about the job in the little town. I told him that I wanted the new adventure, especially when it came with a 25% increase in his salary and a higher-up position. My husband has been complaining about how he isn't advancing in his career in our city. I told him that this could be the step he needed. I'm a nurse, and I could easily find jobs anywhere we went because we have a shortage in healthcare staff everywhere. The idea started to grow on him. He was skeptical because of the distance to our families, but he was intrigued. He booked a job interview that is supposed to happen on Wednesday. If he took the job, we would be relocating around New Year. I was so hopeful that I could finally breathe. Today is Sunday and it was, per usual, the day we meet up with family for dinner. This date happened this week, however, and I'm spending this Sunday alone. My husband is staying with sister-in-law because earlier this week brother-in-law broke the news to her that he wanted a divorce. Sister-in-law is beside herself with shock and my husband is there to try and mediate between her and her husband. Brother-in-law is refusing to talk to any of them and has only been there twice to see the kids. My husband told me now that he couldn't take this job because he needed to stay here and support his sister. I understand where he is coming from, but for me all the horror and anxiety is back. What can I do? I feel trapped, like the walls are closing in around me. I can't tell my husband my true reasons. I have tried so many times, but I just can't do it. I love him so much and I know him very well. He will be hurt and devastated. We have had issues throughout our marriage with him not being able to perform due to health problems, and we haven't made love in over 8 years. He is so self-conscious about. I just can't hurt him about something like this. I think my options now are to stay put and support my husband and sister-in-law. If they can save their marriage in any way, then maybe my husband could find a new job opportunity in another city in the future and agree to move. If they divorce, then I won't be seeing brother-in-law anymore. I'm leaving my husband and I know that I'm being a horrible, selfish person for it. I don't know how I feel about this. It is probably too early for me to do this horrible thing when my sister-in-law just got separated, but I don't see any improvement in the horizon. When my husband told me he was not taking the job up north because of sister-in-law's marital problems, I understood that and was supportive. We have always been close to my sister-in-law and my husband loves his sister and her children. I always admired their bond because I was never this close to my family. He stopped spending weekends with me and instead staying with sister-in-law and the children, and even several days a week when he doesn't even text me after work that he was spending the evening with the children. I didn't mind it because this is all new and sister-in-law isn't coping well after the separation. I told my husband that I missed him though, and that I wanted to be with him and maybe I should tag along some days. He said that I was being selfish for wanting the attention now. His sister needed the support, I should be more understanding. She and brother-in-law have been together since they were very young and she wasn't adjusting well with these new changes. I felt horrible and so selfish. I thought that I should be supportive. Every Christmas, on Boxing Day, my husband and I travel to somewhere warm and spend 2 to 3 weeks. It has been our tradition since we met. We booked this trip months early, April. Yesterday when I was talking about our trip, my husband was so surprised. He said that he was actually astonished that I thought that we would just go on with our plans when sister-in-law's life is turned upside down. I told him that this was our thing and that his sister has her own family. I wanted my family. Him. I told him that I fully understood that she needs his support but that I've been very lonely lately. He told me to drop the subject. Today I chatted with the traveling agency to see if I could add my sister-in-law and her children. I thought that maybe it would be a good change of climate. Well, they would have to take a separate flight, but other than that it was possible even with such short notice to add them, so I called my husband to tell him the news. He was very excited. When he came home later, he told me that his sister didn't agree, however, so we are staying. I asked him why and he said that she didn't want to be around. Happy couples, right now. It was all I could do to hold back my tears. When my husband got that job offer in the small town up north, I started browsing job opportunities, and I sent my CV around. One hospital answered me a week ago. I think I want to take the job. After what happened today, I just logged in and made an appointment for a job interview. I know that my sister-in-law is hurting and that my husband is admirable for being there for her. This is all just so new for everyone and a big life change for sister-in-law and her children, but I feel like I'm number 2 in my own life. I feel neglected and like I have the supporting role in my own movie. I'm leaving my husband. I'm taking the new job and I will go with the plans and move to that small town and get away from everything and everyone. I think I need this new start. Judge me all you want. I know you will. Update. I love my husband. I will probably never love anyone like I love him, but yes, I have been very unhappy for a long time. As I said, I always admired my husband for the love he has for his sister. He basically raised her because their parents were having issues and she was left for him to raise when he was a child himself. His warmth and compassion is what made me fall for him, but does it make sense that it is also what's making me miserable? I have always known I'm his second, but I have always thought that this will change with time. First I thought because I'm not family, and after I became his wife I thought because we don't have children. When sister-in-law started having children I felt that I was pushed down the ladder of my husband's priorities. I have told him this before and he just told me I was being ridiculous competing with children. I remember telling him that it wasn't just that. We should be each other's priority because even if his sister loves him, he is not her priority and never will be because she has a family now. We never agreed on this matter. I felt like there was some truth in what he said too. I was competing with children and his sister. Besides, I thought he would be there when I needed him, except he wasn't. My mental health has been declining this year, but he wasn't as warm and compassionate as I always known him to be, the very things that made me so much in love with him. And these past months since brother-in-law confessed his feelings, my husband never once tried to listen to me. Never once he tried to understand why I didn't want to join them for the usual Sunday dinner, and never once told me he was staying with me instead since I obviously didn't want to go. On the contrary, it became something he was bothered about, even with my body physically reacting to my mental state. I have developed ulcers and lost crazy amounts of weight and hair. I guess him canceling the Christmas trip was just the straw. I love him but I can't anymore. I have spoken to him today before he went to his sister. I told him that he has known for months now that I'm unhappy and that I wanted to leave this city. I told him that I couldn't do it anymore, and I apologized that I chose this very inconvenient time when his sister is suffering, but that I couldn't do it anymore. He looked at me and was silent, and the disappointment in his eyes just broke me. He said that he couldn't believe that I have no compassion whatsoever when a family member is suffering, and yet I still want to go about my life as usual. Would the world end if we skipped our tradition once when he is needed somewhere else? I started crying because I couldn't reach out to him, and yes, if simplified, he is in the right. This looks like me sulking about a trip. I told him that I couldn't do this anymore. We are talking past each other and none of us wants to understand the other. He left. He texted me now that he never thought me to be selfish and that if I should do what I see fit, he will not stand in my way. I don't know if he will be coming back.